This is lesson 76 for Saxon 5 Intermediate Math. We'll be looking at two things today. We'll be looking at fractions of a dollar and how to multiply fractions. So we're going to start off with fractions of a dollar. When you're looking at fractions of a dollar, what you're looking at is how many of something does it take to make a dollar. So for example, if I have a dime or 10 cents, it takes 10 dimes to make a dollar. 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus on and on until you get 10 is a dollar. So if I only have one, that makes 1/10. I have one dime out of 10. If I'm using nickels, then it is 5 cents, and it takes 20 nickels to make a dollar. If I only have one of those, I have 1 of 20, or 1/20. If I'm using quarters, which is 25 cents, I use 1 out of 4 because it takes 4 quarters to make a dollar. So if I only have one, that is 1 out of 4. If I had 2 quarters, that would be 2 out of 4, or 1/2, because that would be 50 cents. Same thing as if I had nickels. If I had 2 nickels, it would be 2 out of 20. If I had 2 dimes, it would be 2 out of 10. Penny. Not that we use pennies anymore, but when we used to, you needed 100 pennies to make a dollar. So if I have 1 penny, I have 1 out of 100 because a penny is 1 cent. These are your money fractions out of a dollar. Now, when we are multiplying, we need to remember something. This is the multiplication symbol. We also have this as a multiplication symbol. And if you have two things right beside each other, like 7 and m, or 2 brackets right beside each other, or parentheses right beside each other, these also mean times. For now, we're just going to look at this one. So what this actually means is times, multiply, groups of, or just of. So normally when we'd see it, we'd be saying groups of. So I have 3 groups of 4 equals 12. That's what the whole sentence would say. When we're using fractions, we tend just to use the word of. So for example, if I have half of half, which is also written like this, half of half, what I get is this. So let's draw this out with my fabulous drawing skills. Okay, so I have a circle. I'm going to half it because that's what I start off with. I start with half of a half. So I have a half. I now need to half the half. So here's 1/2. Here I'm going to look at, and I need to half it. What am I left with? I am left with quarters. So I'm left with 1/4. Because I have half of a half. I took a half, I halved it, I left with a quarter. When we're using, again, when we're using multiplication of fractions, this is the word we're using is of. So let's take a look at one. Let's take a look at half of 3/4. Now I'm not going to draw this one out. Instead, we're just going to do it the little bit of a faster way. So how we do our multiplication when we're using fractions is we actually just multiply straight across, the numerators and then denominators. So 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 4, or 2 of 4, 2 groups of 4, however you want to say this, is 8. This is now our answer. Let's do this again. If we had 2/3 of 4/5, and I'm multiplying, we have 2 groups of 4, which is 8, and 3 groups of 5, which is 15. This is now our answer. Remember that all you're doing when you are multiplying is you multiply the numerators and then you multiply the denominators straight across. And that is how you multiply fractions. And that is today's lesson, lesson 76 for Saxon 5 Intermediate Math.